Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Krishna Svadhamopagate Dharma Jnanadibi Saha Kalo Nasta Drisham Esha Puranarko Dunoditaha Krishna Sadhamopagate Dharma Jnanadibi Saha Kalo Nasta Drisham Esha Puranarko Dunodita. Krishna in Krishna's Svadharma own abode. Upagate having returned. Dharma religion. Jnana knowledge. Adibi combined together. Saha along with. Kalo in the Kali Yuga. Nastadrisham of persons who have lost the sight. Esha all these. Puranarka the Purana which is brilliant like the sun. Aduna just now. Udita has arisen. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna has his eternal dham, or abode, where he eternally enjoys himself with his eternal associates and paraphernalia. And his eternal abode is a manifestation of his internal energy, whereas the material world is a manifestation of his external energy. When he descends on the material world, he displays himself with all paraphernalia in his internal potency, which is called Atma Maya. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he descends by his own potency, Atma Maya. His form, name, fame, paraphernalia, abode, etc. are not therefore creations of matter. He descends to reclaim the fallen souls and to re-establish codes of religion which are directly enacted by him. Except for God, no one can establish the principles of religion. Either he or a suitable person empowered by him can dictate the codes of religion. Real religion means to know God, our relation with him, and our duties in relation with him, and to know ultimately how our destination is after leaving this material body. The conditioned souls who are entrapped by the material energy hardly know all these principles of life. Most of them are like animals, engaged in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. They are mostly engaged in sense enjoyment under the pretension of religion, knowledge, or salvation. They are still more blind in the present age of quarrel or Kali Yuga. In the Kali Yuga, the population is just a royal addition of the animals. They have nothing to do with spiritual knowledge or godly religious life. They are so blind that they cannot see anything beyond the jurisdiction of the subtle mind, intelligence, or ego. But they are very much proud of their advancement in knowledge, science, and material prosperity. They can risk their lives to become a dog or a hog just after leaving the present body, for they have completely lost sight of the ultimate aim of life. The personality of Godhead Sri Krishna appeared before us just a little prior in the beginning of Kali Yuga, and he returned to his eternal home practically at the commencement of the Kali Yuga. While he was present, he exhibited everything by his different activities. He spoke the Bhagavad Gita specifically and eradicated all pretentious principles of religiosity. And prior to his departure from this material world, he empowered Sri Vyasadeva through Narada to compile the messages of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And thus both the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam are like torch bearers for the blind people of this age. In other words, if men in this age of Kali want to see the real light of life, they must take to these two books only, and their aim of life will be fulfilled. Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary study of the Bhagavatam, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the summum bonum of life. Lord Sri Krishna personified. We must therefore accept Srimad Bhagavatam as the direct representation of Lord Krishna. One who can see Srimad Bhagavatam can see also Lord Sri Krishna in person. They are identical. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesa Sundavadi Paskati Deshatarana. So this is a brilliant purport, just as the Srimad Bhagavatam is the brilliant Puranic literature, which is more powerful than the sun itself. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada's purports are equally as brilliant as the original verses written by Srila Vyasadeva. For as it is said here, Dharman tu shakshat bhagavat pranitan. Religion is enunciated by the Lord or by one who is empowered by the Lord. So, we can understand the comparison of the sun. Just like a few hours ago, it was all darkness everywhere. So we could not make out anything very clear. If we tried to get up and go outside, probably we would have tripped and hurt ourselves. But as soon as the sun rises, then everything becomes distinct. So similarly, this Bhagavad Purana, having risen, that means to say, Srimad Bhagavatam having become available in this age, people are saved from so many calamities. Because the Srimad Bhagavatam lights up like a torchlight of knowledge. It lights up our dormant consciousness so that we can overcome this tendency towards ignorance. What is ignorance? Ignorance means that we think that we are these bodies. Everybody is thinking like that. I am man, I am woman, I am young, I am getting old, I am this, I am that. We are all thinking so many conceptions based upon the body. So, the spotless Puranic literature, Bhagavatam, removes this ignorance. Just like sometimes when it is dark, you do not understand correctly what you're looking at. For example, you might see a rope on the road and think that it's a snake. But when there's enough light and when your vision is correct, then you can see it properly. So similarly, now we are seeing this body, and we think that this body is who we actually are. So before you heard the message of Bhagavad Gita, before you heard the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, you didn't know you were not your body. You thought, I am this body, and according to how happy or displeased my body is, that will make me happy or sad. But now, with this superior knowledge, I can understand that I'm not this body, I'm the soul within. And so I don't care so much what happens to my body. I am not going to allow myself to become affected by the changes which the body undergoes. And the body must undergo changes. It is the nature of the material energy to be endlessly mutable or changing. So sometimes you're going to be healthy, and sometimes you're going to be sick. And gradually your body's going to get older. And these changes are actually going to be viewed by you in an external way. You have to learn to become detached. If you don't, then you have to suffer, and the body is sure to suffer. There's no stopping that fact. There's no way that you can avoid that. Just like we see in our devotee Janaki, how her body is suffering. Because her body has this cancer. So, but she doesn't have cancer. So because she has the superior knowledge of Krishna consciousness, she can at least remain free from this suffering condition. Now, of course, everybody thinks that poor, unfortunate Janaki, she has cancer. It will never happen to me. But it may happen. And if it doesn't happen, something else is going to happen. But everybody is going to suffer disease. So you have to be so fixed up that when such calamities, befall you, that you're not going to become overwhelmed. That means just like she goes on with her service because she knows she's not her body, so we have to go on with our service despite any difficulties which may happen. This is the knowledge which we gain from studying the Bhagavatam. Now we have a little bit of information here about the appearance of Lord Sri Krishna. Atmamayaya. It comes by Krishna's own internal potency. A very important factor because our appearance did not come by this Atmamayaya. Our appearance came, by the force of our previous desires. We brought upon ourselves all the difficulty which we're now facing. And if we don't do something about it, we're again going to have a repetition of another, round of suffering. So actually one has to make an effort to cut one's way through this jungle of the material world. Just like when you find yourself in the thick of the jungle, so you have to use those machetes and very vigorously you have to cut your way through until you get to the goal that you're trying to reach. So in the same way, with great determination, you have to cut away all things obstacles which obstruct the path of spiritual life. And there are many, many obstacles. You see? Because when the creation took place, Lord Brahma was very kind and he created a lot of different types of illusion, which are now, overwhelming the conditioned soul, like lethargy and sleepiness and hunger and all of these things. So these things bewilder us. And unless we are aware of these illusions, we'll never be able to counteract them. So you have to start to become aware. This is the meaning of Krishna consciousness. You have to become alert to recognize when, you are becoming covered over by lust, covered over by sleepiness, covered over by laziness. So many different things will affect you. You have to be aware of these things, that these are creations of Brahma, and they're about to take me over. But I'm the pure spirit soul, and I'm not going to let it happen. Now, when you do this, you become spiritually attractive. Otherwise, as far as spiritual life goes, one is not attractive if they're not advanced in spiritual life. Generally, nowadays, people make, relationships based upon physical attraction. And you'd be surprised how much the devotees are still under this illusion. They think, I will make myself physically attractive, just like all the women think. I will make myself physically attractive and I will catch a nice brahmachari. So, but that is an illusion. Because if one is a nice brahmachari, they'll never be attracted by this type of physical attraction. Because it's the body. The most beautiful woman in the world is going to become simply an old saggy bag, in time. So, in other words, anybody who has enough brains, who has read Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, knows that it's not useful to chase after this phantasmagoria of liquid beauty. That is the point. One should actually try to make oneself spiritually attractive. Then, if Krishna desires, if one is in need of a husband, or whatever one may be in need of, everything is going to follow nicely. Otherwise, it isn't going to follow nicely. We have to make ourselves spiritually attractive to Krishna. That means that we have to be free from illusion. One who is not free from illusion is not very nice to associate with. Anyone who becomes constantly overwhelmed is not very advanced association. We want to become more and more advanced so that Krishna will accept us back. Just like we see, Krishna is accepting the gopis, his intimate devotees. Many of those cowherd girls were actually devotees who had elevated themselves to the point of being suitable for association with Krishna. It is not just that all of the gopis came out of the spiritual world with Krishna. Some of them were devotees who had elevated themselves. So don't think it's so easy to gain the association of Lord Krishna. You have to qualify yourself. You can't just wait around thinking that one day I'm going to just, get the full mercy of my guru even though I don't deserve it. Just like sometimes someone gets an honorary diploma, but that's unusual. Generally speaking, you have to work your way hard through college. Then you get a diploma. So in the same way, don't expect this guru kripa, this special, mercy of the spiritual master, but you don't do anything yourself. Generally speaking, diplomas are given, even on an honorary basis, to people who have qualified themselves. Just like you'll see sometimes, someone did not complete college, but, for example, Rabindranath Tagore, who's a famous writer in India, he didn't go and complete college, but he was given honorary degree certificate from the university because of his outstanding achievement in the literary field. So still he got to the point of outstanding achievement. That is the point. So we have to work like that very strongly to destroy this ignorant covering which is bewildering us. Then we become very attractive to Krishna. And that should be our goal. Otherwise, who's going to take you back to Godhead? If you try to attract a man, can he take you back to Godhead? Well, Krishna is going to take you back to Godhead. So our goal should not be simply to set some trap for somebody to fall into. Our goal should be to be able to entice Krishna, Bhaktisiddhanta said, to act in such a way that Krishna sees us and appreciates us. That generally when they go hunting elephants, you know how they do that? They take the female elephant and tie her up and put her near a big hole in the ground. And then the male elephant comes stumbling through the forest after the female elephant and falls into the trap. So you should not become the agent of Maya. Simply thinking, now how will I trap some male elephant? That should not be your meditation. Your meditation should be, how can I be a tool in the hands of Krishna? Krishna wants to deliver the conditioned souls, not trap them. Maya wants to trap. Krishna wants to deliver. So you have to be free from material desire. You have to be free from material desire. And that's not hard if you're careful. You can get free from material desire if you make the effort. Just like I said that now it has been shown that every morning we are having Mangal Arati here at 5:30. And that is very good. Everybody can feel the advantage of it. You see? You know that you can't afford to stay up late at night, because you're going to have to get up early. And then you do get up early. You don't think, I'll just sleep in for an extra hour because I'm really not feeling strong enough to make it today. But no, I have to get up for Mangal Arati. And then everybody's out in the forest walking and everybody's getting very healthy that way. So this is very nice. You should continue this program even when I'm not here. That you should have Mangal Arati at 5:30 every day. There's no reason why you can't have it. Then you have your, go out and chant some jump in the forest. There's no reason why you can't do that. If you say, well, I just can't keep it up, then I say you're not going to go back to Godhead. If you're so weak that you can't keep up some simple programs, what is the chance that at the time of death you're going to remember Krishna? It's so easy now. You're all very strong compared to the way you're going to be when you're old. If you don't have the strength to do these things now, what hope is there for you? Now, the real fact is that we're lazy. That is why we don't work hard. That is why we don't push ourselves. We're lazy. So, Prabhupada said that spiritual life is not for lazy fellows or girls. It's for people who are willing to take the trouble. Just like the karmis, they take the trouble, but it's for sense gratification. So we should take the trouble for Krishna. And if you just do it for a while, for say a couple of years, then it'll become very easy. If you get really strict with yourself for 1-2 years, you'll never have to it will never be a difficulty for you again. It's difficult now because you have become sloppy. That's why it's difficult. But if you become very, very strict, The stricter you become, the more strength you get. And it becomes easy to maintain that strictness. And that's what's attractive to other devotees. Then everybody will want your association. Everybody likes to be loved. Everybody wants to be, loved and appreciated. But you have to understand, devotees will only love and really appreciate you when you make yourself advanced. So, this is the direction that we should move towards. Now, it mentions here that Krishna appeared. We're talking about Krishna's appearance. Krishna appeared by his internal potency, and when he disappeared, he also disappeared by his internal potency. In other words, although there is a pastime which is described in the Bhagavatam of how Krishna was shot by the arrow of a hunter, that actually did not kill Krishna. Krishna is eternal. He's God himself. So he doesn't die by some arrow being shot into his foot. And he also left a form. But we also know that that form which Krishna left was simply to bewilder the atheists. Those who wanted to deny the existence of God, they could take the excuse of this form which Krishna left and say, see here, this is not God. Here's an ordinary person. So, these things are all done by Krishna's internal potency. His appearance, his disappearance. Just like when Krishna left, then gradually he called back the whole Yadu dynasty. So many were called back to be with him. And Lord Chaitanya is the same way. When he left, gradually all of his associates returned back to Godhead with him. So, the Lord's pastimes are eternal. They're affected by his internal energy. They're not under the effect of Maya in any way. And Janma Karma Chame Dibyam Yovam Veti Tattataha Tekta Deham Punar Janma Naiti Mameti So Arjuna. Anyone who hears the transcendental narrations of Krishna's activities and appearance, he becomes eternal. If you hear and remember these things, by the time you die, you become eternal. So, start to hear Krishna's pastimes. Every day I stress to you, take a half hour a day at least to read. Don't tell me you don't have enough time. I've watched it. You girls here have a lot of time. You definitely have time to chant nice rounds. You have time to study a little bit. It's a very ideal program, and I like to see you all become advanced. Because, it's so time-consuming to look after all of your problems. You each have so many problems. So isn't it about time that you start to take care of yourselves? So it's like now, it's nice that there are no men having to stay here. That's good. But now, why don't you advance yourself even more? I mean, that's alright. That's a good advantage that you're able to at least together look after each other. But now, each person should be able to look after themselves, at least themselves. So, take the trouble, take the time, start to read. If you start to read, you'll be amazed at how it will change your consciousness. When you get in touch with Prabhupada's books, it makes you very, very Krishna conscious. I mean, I can't imagine what your lives must be like going day after day without opening a book. You must be so dry. And I can't fathom how you could even continue in spiritual life without reading these books every day. I don't know, it just shows how simple women are, I guess. That they can just go on. But I don't think it's possible to go on forever like this. Because if you don't read, you get overwhelmed by desire. Even if your mind is simple, still, you're going to get overwhelmed by desires. But if you read, then you know what these desires are. You can recognize them. You know what's happening to you if you suddenly get into a little Maya. It's so important to have this knowledge. So the Bhagavatam, when Krishna left, he took all religion and knowledge with him, but he empowered Vyasadeva to compile the Bhagavatam, which is full of religion and knowledge. Here is religion and knowledge. Here's Krishna. That's the statement of this purport, that Krishna is present. Here it says, one who can see the Srimad Bhagavatam can also see Lord Krishna in person. They are identical. Here's Krishna. Right here in these pages is Lord Krishna. So, you have Krishna right in your own home. But if you keep the book closed, what a great misfortune. Instead of associating with Krishna, you're associating with all the craziness of your mind. All the thoughts of the mind which have been stored there by your great associates of the past, your mothers, your fathers, your friends, your relatives, and who knows what else you associated with in your past lifetimes. Well, find a new association. Here's Krishna. You can associate with him every day. And when you get this quality of association, when you start to associate with Krishna, those other things will no longer be very much attractive, and you won't hear them talking to you all the time. So, please understand that these are easy times now. Just like now, it's much easier than it's going to be come November. Come November and December, it's going to be a long, hard pull. So if you haven't strengthened yourself now, who knows what's going to happen? It's going to be tough. And you're going to flip out, and you're going to do lousy, and then you're going to start getting on a mental trip, and you're going to say, get me out of here, bail me out. And then by the time it's over, you're going to say, I want to go home to see my parents. I haven't seen them. It's Christmas time. I need a break. It goes on and on. So this is the time. This is a good time. You've got at least a month and a half now to get strong spiritually. Why don't you use that time? Use this time. Spend an hour to read every day. You'll love it. You'll appreciate it. More and more you'll appreciate these books. Then, when you have to work real hard because it's an emergency like the marathon, then you'll have the strength to do that, and you still won't forget Krishna. So, are there any questions? Yes?
Krishna, you devotees use the argument that when they read, it goes in one ear and out the other.
Yes, it does go in one ear and out the other, but in between it goes in the heart. In between the two ears is the heart. And there's the heart and the brain. I hope there's something in between your two ears. So even though some of it may come out the other ear, it has to pass through somewhere. And that passing through is what purifies you. Don't have any doubt about it. That's like saying, when I chant Hare Krishna, it goes in one ear and out the other. But you gotta admit it did something in between. So does food go in one hole and out the other. Every mouth of food you eat goes in your mouth and out the anus. But something happened to it in between, and that's what's keeping you moving. So in the same way, every time you hear Hare Krishna or anything, that you read, it may go in one ear and out the other, but in between something valuable happens. Just remember that. By the time you pass stool after eating, there has been some value gained. So in the same way, when you read, which is food for the soul, something wonderful happens to you. Be sure. Prabhupada said that when you become fully Krishna conscious, you'll be able to remember every single thing you heard. All spiritual knowledge will be remembered. It's all being recorded. It's like on a computer, they punch in so many things. And then it gets stored in the memory on a disk. And at the same time, if you want it, you can punch it out and it comes out. It comes out on the readout. So, it may come out in the readout, but that doesn't mean it was lost to the memory. It both comes out in the readout and it's on the memory. So when you hear and read spiritual knowledge, alright, maybe it comes out, but it's also being stored. That's the point. It's also being stored. It's not lost.
Also, when one reads the same thing all the time, even if one thinks that nothing happens, still, one remembers it. Like, I've learned a lot of verses just by hearing, tapes.
Right.
And I just know them.
You'll be surprised. One of these days when we do more direct preaching, you'll be surprised how much you've learned. You know the philosophy. If you had to give a class, you could give it. Now you have to start to give classes. That's another thing. That will encourage you to want to read more. When each one of you has to take a turn giving a class, you're not going to want to appear like a fool. So you'll want to read so you have something to say. That's a good reason to insist that everybody gives class. Even new devotees should give class. I gave class the second day I moved in the temple. They said, now it's your turn. I said, what am I going to say? They said, whatever you, just say whatever comes in your mind. In those days, everything was very loose. So I spoke about whatever I could. They said just try to explain what you've read. Another question?
Common complaint amongst like the Saint family and particular women's party past, now it's like devotees are, continually sort of falling into Maya, and you've preached to them for a long time.
Because they're falling into Maya. I gave a whole lecture about this today. Why they're falling into Maya. Because they're not taking the time and trouble to make themselves Krishna conscious. That's the point. Imagine how, let's look at it this way. You should see yourselves. Are you like little babies? You know how a little kid is a baby, right? But because it knows that my mother's going to take care of me. So some of you are like that. You're like little babies. The Sankirtan leaders are there, and I can do whatever I want. I think I'll pass stool in my pants and let them clean it up. That's what it's like. When the next time you fall into Maya, you should just understand you pass stool right in your pants. It's the same thing. You're like little infants. They can't even take care of yourselves. You just allow yourselves to go right into Maya, and then you think, now the Sankirtan leader will have to preach to me. Sometimes children do pass stool just to get the attention of their parents. Even when they're being toilet trained, they know that they're not supposed to do that. But simply to get attention, they do that. They pass stool, and then they call their mother, now you have to take care of me. So I think that, Sankirtan devotees, sometimes they do that. They fall into Maya so they can get attention. Now please, preach to me, take care of me, I need attention. So, this is childish. You should want to get out of that. Now, I tell you should start to see yourselves, not as grown-ups, but as infants when you're like that. It's ridiculous. It's very, very ridiculous after so many years of Krishna consciousness to still have to be constantly preached to like that. You should be old enough now that each one of you can lead a Sankirtan party. What's your question? Another question? You're saying that because you've had children, you develop more of a service attitude? And that may very well be. But it doesn't depend on that. I didn't have any children, and I have a service attitude. So it's not that the only way to get a service attitude is you have to have kids. I agree with you that that's a nice way to be trained to have a service attitude. But there are other ways. I know my mother, she trained me to have a service attitude. She always made me clean up my toys. She always made me clean the room up. She made me clean the house up. She made me do all the wash. I had to do so many things. She trained me like that. So it's not that the only training you get as a woman is, that if you have a child, I agree with you, that is a nice training, no doubt. But I don't think that any woman who doesn't have children should therefore think that since I don't have that training, I've missed something. I don't agree with that. One could still have that attitude of service.
But they have to be trained.
Yeah, but I say that there has been a lot of training already. There is training. And I've seen women who've had kids that fall into Maya also. So it's not necessarily a guarantee. Maybe just you and Guru Vastika are more advanced in the sense of being able to stay, engaged nicely. But I don't think it's so much only a question of having children. I've seen people who, of course it's a fact that once you've had kids and you can get away from them for a while, then you feel a great relief also. Because it's a great burden to take care of children. And you feel enthusiastic to be able to serve Krishna again. It's sort of like if an athlete works out by having weights on his legs. And then when he takes them off, he can fly. So, doing service for the deities and for your spiritual master while still trying to take care of raising up a family. It's like working out with weights, on your body. And it's a fact that when the family grows up a little and then you can do without that burden, it seems so much easier. It seems like a great relief. A day off is a day to become closer to Krishna. Just like we use our Radha Damodar party, whenever they had a day off, they used to take one day off a week. All day long they'd be chanting and reading. They wouldn't use the time just to sleep more, do more laundry, do more mundane things. They purposely tried to avoid having to do those things on the day off. They tried to free or clear the day off only so that they could do spiritual things on that day, so they could get fueled up for the rest of the week. In other words, they didn't leave the laundry for the day off. They didn't leave any of that stuff for the day off. That day off is what they just exclusively used for spiritual activities. Then it was a real, holy day. See how it changed. Holy day to holiday. You're all Americans now. You are the people that are responsible for changing holy days into holidays. It used to be Sunday was called Holy Day. It wasn't a holiday. Holiday means, that you can do any, sense enjoyment you want. It's a day to just take it easy and kick back. But a holy day was the day where you stopped doing all your work and you prayed to God all day. That's how it used to be. But until, the great American religion started. Which you're all, still to some extent parts of. Still celebrating holidays instead of holy days. Another question? Has the offering been made?
Well, we start having class for the graveyard. It'd be better to do like we do like in Dallas, start from one verse and just...
And you can all decide. Guruvastika can help you decide that. There's so many nice verses. It'd be pretty interesting to hear some of your lectures.
Oh my goodness.
I hope it's goodness. Not passion or ignorance. Okay, so now we'll take Krishna Prashanam. Jai.
Gurudev Ki.